Hey, I'm Diana Mata here at the Oxnard College Performing Arts Center, here at the Latino Thoughtmaker Series. We'll be talking to two actors known as Lisa Vidal and Enrique Castillo, hosted by Rick Najera. Stay tuned.
Last 2 years, we've been very lucky to have access to someone with the connections, the talent, and the humor as the person that we've brought to be our creative director. And normally I would say, here's my friend, and introduce him, but tonight we're going to do something a little different, and you're going to get to watch a little clip about him, and then he will magically appear on the stage in front of you. But thank you all for coming to our event this evening.
We already saw the clip. People listen.
I'm going to start things off with Rick Najera.
Rick Najera.
Rick Najera.
Rick Najera.
He's an award-winning writer, actor, director, producer.
Comedian, actor, and director.
Writer with credits in film, television, theater, and Broadway.
He's now written a memoir about his experiences in a new book called, love this title, Almost White.
Armed with only a man and a Mexican last name. He's mostly brown, but chooses to be almost white.
I'm writing on a show called East West High, and that's a Hulu show, and it's getting huge numbers.
So it just goes to tell you the power of the web and also the power of the Latino audience.
There's a huge market, 53 million Latinos, 2 trillion in buying power. It's amazing.
Fireball.
I've worked for CBS for 10 years doing the diversity showcase. Of the showcase, 32 series regulars have come out of it. 3 have gone on Saturday Night Live, and 2 have gone on The Daily Show. That's incredible numbers. That's directed by a Latino, directed by me.
The CBS Diversity Showcase! What I do is I knock on the trunk of the car. Now this works for Mexicans cannot resist this. Knock on the trunk of the car, you go, "Que viva Mexico! Viva, viva, viva!"
The critically acclaimed play Latino Laws made Rick Najera one of only 3 Latinos in history to write and star in their own show on Broadway. I'm a fireball.
We honor love, we honor community, we honor family, we honor bravery. That is what it's like to be Latino.
Thank you. Thank you. Boy, you get the Hollywood clip extravaganza. Well, we're the Latino Thoughtmakers, and I'm really proud to be a part of this and be here at Oxnard College and all the people that make this possible. And, I see our board members are here, and the president and vice president, everyone's here. But more importantly, even than them, the community's here, because this is your place. Well, we did a show recently here a while back, and we used some of the students in the cast. What was great about it is students came to audition, and they said, had never acted before, and they said, you know something? This is the place where stories are told. And that's what I love about this theater. This is the place where stories are told, and there's stories told about our people and our contribution to America. Nowadays, a lot of times Latinos, we've been mislabeled, and they've said bad things about us in the press, especially guys like Trump. But the truth is, the reason they say those things is they don't know us. They don't know what we do, what we contribute to this country. And part of the Latino Thoughtmaker series is to introduce people that are really changing our country. And I want to introduce our first person tonight, a wonderful actress. I've known her for many years, Miss Lisa Vidal. Now, she's been recognized in such shows as Boston Legal, The Division, Third Watch, Being Mary Jane, and CSI Miami, ERA, and Southland. She has been in probably more television shows than anyone I've known. She's had a career spanning 4 decades in Hollywood. She's an amazing lady. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this clip.
Officer DeCane, you were the first person to question Mr. Reyes in relation to this murder, is that correct? Yes. I have 10 people, all members of that country club, who have gone on record saying that they witnessed the defendant arguing with Miss Garland at 2:20 p.m. at the driving range, wherein he said to her, quote, "I'm gonna kill you," unquote, just 1 hour prior to her body being discovered, and that the argument turned physical. Can you verify this? What did you do? I've been waiting for this bastard to get out. Word on the street was he set up shop here, so I came to settle our business. I should have done this a long
Just like that?
Yeah, that's right.
What is Tom doing here?
He must have followed me here. He walked in right before you did. Tom! No! Oh, no. No. Oh. That is so cute on you.
I felt kind of funny though, letting Stacy pay for it.
Well, sometimes it's more awkward to refuse a gift. Just look at it as Stacy's way of saying that she loves you and that you're her best friend.
Yeah, well, me and Nikki. Hey, Mom, do you still have any friends from when you were my age?
No, I wish I did.
Oh, do I look fat in this?
Oh, yes, ginormous. Put this on and cover yourself.
You are so mean right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lisa Vidal.
Good to be here.
Yes.
Good to be here.
This is,
hey, we got a crowd, man. Okay, that's good.
This is what's great about this is basically our front room. So we're all family hanging around in our front room. There's a pot of menudo boiling over there, and we got a drink and we're sitting there talking. Now, let's talk about you.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. First acting gig was 14.
Yes.
You were a child actor.
I was.
And you were in a show called Oye Willy.
Oye Willy.
Oye Willy.
That's right, Spanish Harlem, baby. Yeah, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. I remember going to the high school performing arts, and my girlfriend told me about this audition, and my aunt was involved in trying to get me into theater and everything, and I was like, I want to go audition, and it was amazing. It was my first big audition besides my audition for the high school performing arts, and I got the part. I think the casting agent had like some hoop earrings on, and when I was in my emotional thing, I whipped her hoop out. I was like, go with it, just go with it. And I just kept going with it. But it was amazing. It was an amazing time, you know, it was so young. Latinos were just really coming up and rich in television, and Spanish Harlem was all like getting artsy and all of that. It was really cool.
Who were your role models? Who'd you look to even make you think you could be an actress?
Gosh, I used to watch everybody. I used to watch Barbra Streisand movies. I watched West Side Story. What Latino didn't watch Rita Moreno? I was like, I want to be Rita Moreno. And I watched the Carol Burnett show. I watched Flip Wilson. I'm dating myself, and that's okay, because I'm comfortable with myself. Yeah, I have a lot of wisdom. Shoot, if I could get paid for some wisdom, shoot. But yeah, no, I watched just those people that I felt drawn to their talent. I didn't think about color. I didn't think about race. I didn't think about, wow, can that be me? Like, in the sense of like, there's no way I can do it. I saw kind of no barrier, no wall. Yeah, I was colorblind as a kid, and my parents raised me that way. You know.
Did you want to be an actress, or was it something you came into that almost by accident?
I definitely always wanted to be an actress and a singer. I was, you know, that kid that was like always entertaining the family. I was telling jokes.
Your sister's a singer.
My sister's a singer, actress as well. My younger sister, my baby sister. But yeah, I was always, you know, Latino families, we all have like those issues, you know, with our parents. So I was always trying to make everybody happy. I was like, Mira, listen to this. So I was always entertaining, and I loved it. I loved making people laugh and you know, to move their emotions, and I loved singing and performing, and I used to make believe I was, you know, on stage, my imagination. It was fun.
Now, you were quoted as saying, when you want something so badly, you just do it. You don't think about how hard it is going to be. So, do you think it was going to be as hard as it was? Or has it been easy?
It has not been easy. It has been kind of developing a tough skin. because I kind of went into it with this idea that, you know, I could do it, why not? I had a really great outlook and I was very positive, and then you start coming up against that wall, and you have to really want it to keep going and pushing and you know, punching through that wall to get to the next stage or the next phase. And I just kept doing that, you know, and that was not easy, but I loved what I did. And I have to say, I was coming up during a time that, you know, there was a lot more open-mindedness about hiring a Latino in a certain role. And then I had to come up against making a hard choice where I didn't want to play the prostitutes and the maids all the time. I wanted the bigger roles. And I had to say, you know, I'm not gonna go and audition if you're not gonna find me a better role.
So you put your foot down?
I had to put my foot down, and that was taking a risk. Yeah. But I knew I had to take the risk if I wanted to move further from where I was, because, you know, I was kind of stuck.
Was it, do you think it's gotten worse for Latinos in Hollywood? Somewhat, or is stereotype still there?
You know, it's a tricky time in Hollywood for Latinos right now. If you're a dark Latino, you might get away with playing black. It's really kind of sad because there's real color racism within our own community, but also in Hollywood, because there's a very small window of how they see the Latino range.
Yeah,
and
we were talking about that.
Yeah.
I mean, in Mexico, when you watch the telenovelas, all the Mexicans are blonde and blue-eyed. You know, it's odd, because you look at telenovelas and you go, they look almost like an 80s Dynasty episode.
Right.
And then you look at the Latinos in the American market, and it's almost the Paul Rodriguez in a certain different look, and it's very different. Mm-hmm. So it's both media kind of getting all our stories wrong. But you've worked with some incredible people. In the 1990s, you worked with Woody Allen in Mighty Aphrodite. You worked with Robert De Niro, Jessica Lange in Night in the City. And you got a fan letter from someone that most of us will never get a fan letter from. And for your work on High Incident, who was that fan letter from?
That fan letter was from Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg?
Steven Spielberg.
Fan letter.
I kid you not, I almost died. It came to my door, and you know, I opened it up, and it said from Steven Spielberg, and I was like, he must have the wrong house. I couldn't believe that, you know, he had sent me a letter. But he did. I did this episode on a show that he had based on the real show Cops. He was obsessed with that show, so he created a show called High Incident. And he hired me after auditioning like 3 or 4 times. And I got the role of an officer named Jessica Delgado. And in this one particular episode, it was a very emotionally driven episode where there's this huge earthquake, and basically her and her partner, played by the wonderful Blair Underwood, who I just adore, go to this site of this tunnel where it has collapsed on an ambulance, and there's a woman inside who's in labor. And so I was obviously quite tiny, so I'm the only one that can fit into the ambulance, and I pretty much saved the baby's life, but the mother dies. And it was a very emotional episode, and it was really well directed, well written. And so Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg, Jeffrey called me at my house. I was like, Jeffrey? I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And Steven Spielberg wrote me this amazing, he says, I'm writing you my very first fan letter. You're not gonna believe this, but he's like, you are an amazing actress, and you brought a tear to my eye, and I'm so happy I hired you. I couldn't believe it. It's framed on my wall, people. Alongside a picture that they took on the set of Jurassic Park. I think it was Jurassic Park 2. He invited myself and Blair Underwood to hang out. We just hung out with Steven Spielberg.
You had to go to the set of Jurassic Park.
It was so cool. I was like, pinch me, somebody pinch me. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
It's funny, there was a picture of Steven Spielberg in front of a dinosaur on Jurassic Park with a gun. And there were people that actually emailed them saying, "How dare you shoot that animal?" And it's a little scary when you think that they're already extinct. How dare you shoot them?
Right.
But you've avoided stereotypes in Latino roles. I mean, you really have. I mean, here's my big question: has it hurt you or helped you? Strange, has it been hard?
You know, a little bit of both, I would say. I just, and I don't mean to sound negative because this is not intended as negative at all, but I just feel like I wanted to go against the stereotype in my career.
Yeah.
I grew up with women that were attorneys, judges, doctors, you know? And I grew up with homemakers, and you know, my grandma had a little cuchifrito cart on the corner on 110th and Madison. So I grew up with all of that, and I just really wanted to represent the educated Latino that we were not seeing on television. I wanted to see my titi, who was the first freaking Puerto Rican woman to become, you know, a New York City Supreme Court judge. I was proud of that. I wanted to represent those women because I was only seeing one kind of woman. And it was very frustrating to me. So I started turning down the, you know, the more negative stereotypes. And I'm not saying that I won't play that because, you know, when you're an actor, you're out there representing a character and you're telling a story. But I just wanted to sort of put a different message or role model or stereotype out there than what we were seeing.
Well, at times you've been aware of the diversity beyond gender. I mean, have you looked at it and said, why can't a woman play the Supreme Court Justice? You knew Supreme Court Justice. Has that been a problem because it came from the writers' room? I mean, do you see, I mean, I would say the Writers Guild of America is the whitest guild of America. Yeah, and I'm a member of the Writers Guild of America. And I'm
sorry, white people. It's different.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I said it today at CBS, and they're, I can't believe you said that. And I go, it is the whitest guild of America. Predominantly white, young, male. And because of it, I remember working with a writer in an HBO series, and at one point the scene is the conguero in Central Park. And he's playing the conga, and he looks at a woman running by and goes, "Don't run from love, baby, don't run from love, baby, don't run from love." The guy turns to me and goes, "Oh my God, Rick, you can't do that." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You know how terrifying it is to have a Latino yell at a white woman in Central Park?" I said, "Wait a minute, Saul, it's in the daytime. And the theme is this woman's always running from love. He's not going to pick up a 300-pound conguero and go out there and go, yeah, let's go get her, let's go get her." And he stopped and he said, "Wow, you're absolutely right." And I said, "Saul, have you ever worked with a professional before?" And on cue, his maid Maria walked in. And he goes, "Only Maria." And sometimes that is the bigger problem in Hollywood, is that we have a lot of segregation within Hollywood, where people don't meet people like you or your aunt or see the wide range that we are as a people and also as a color as well.
Right.
So, you know, your momentum built in the 1990s, your recurring roles in New York Undercover, Third Watch, and ER, but you pushed the boundaries. You pushed the boundaries. You played Sandy Lopez in New York, a firefighter who was openly lesbian. You forced out, I remember the kissing scene, Carrie Weaver.
Everybody was on set that day.
Yes. It's actually right behind you. So, you forcibly out. Carrie Weaver, played by Laurie Inez, in a long kiss in front of her coworkers. How was that experience at that time? Because this is way before Ellen.
Right.
What was that like? How did people react to that?
Well, it was amazing actually, because I was already doing a show called The Division. I was playing a detective on that show, and I had done I had done Third Watch already, John Wells' show.
Yeah.
And so John Wells called me and said, "Listen, we've got this role, and I really want you to play this role." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, well, how are we going to do that? I'm on a show." And so he was the head of the Writers Guild at the time. And so my executive producer was like, oh, it's John Wells. We'll make it work.
Yeah, of course.
And he started telling me about the role. And the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, this is an amazing story. It was a story about two people, and that's how I always saw it, about two people that fall in love and all the stuff that gets in between them falling in love. And I said, listen, John, I'm on board as long as this is not some, you know, a guy trying to get his kicks off with two girls rolling up on the cover being stupid. He was like, no, 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 no. This is really what I'm telling you what it is. And I said, well then, I'm 100% on board because that's a beautiful story.
And John's, you know, came from theater. He had plays always at the Cast Theater back in the day. I always remember that. And I worked with his wife, who was Mexican American. So, and you probably didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's true.
I had no idea.
And I knew John back in the day when out here, I rented a place from him. I was his guest house.
No wonder he loves diversity.
Yeah, he does.
Because he gets awarded all the time for bringing diversity.
He married diversity.
There you go.
He married diversity, and I think that
smart man.
A very smart man. And diversity was renting his guest house at one point. John Wells actually got me into writing television.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great.
That's amazing.
Well, what happened was I was at his guest house, and so the mail comes. And I was a playwright, and I wrote a play, and it was being produced in Canada, and I got a royalty check. I was so happy. I was like, wow, John, I got a royalty check for $600. $600. I'm an international playwright. I think it's Canadian money, so it's probably half that American dollars. But he turns to me and goes, oh, really? I just got a royalty check, too. And as he opened his check, and I cannot tell you how much money it was.
Oh, God.
It was enough for me to go, wow, how do you make that kind of money?
Right.
And, but a great guy. But working with him and other people, you turned guest star roles into series regular roles.
Well, I got lucky. Honest to God, a lot of this business has to do with luck. And once John is the type of person that once he likes you, you're in his camp. And that's the thing about John Wells. And I have to say, the man loves diversity. He really does. I mean, he wrote a role for me on Shameless. And he was like, and he called her Maria Vidal. I was like, John, is it Vidal? It's like, yeah. He is so supportive of diversity, and that's such a beautiful thing. And so when he's one of the very few producers that, he likes using the same people. Yeah. And when he recognizes talent and he wants to have it on his show.
Well, you want to work with your friends and family.
Yes, really, you want to work with people you enjoy working with and having fun with and all of that. But I have been lucky. I mean, knock on wood. Here's the wood. Yeah, thank you.
Well, you were busy working on ER and Third Watch, and I heard from someone you were actually driven to sets.
I was. How'd you hear that? He knows everything.
I find this stuff out.
Yeah.
But you were driven to sets between sets because you were scared of falling asleep.
I was because I was working on one set all day long, and then I had to be on the ER set by a certain time and work. We were doing a couple of episodes were all night shoots. And it was exhausting, and I'm playing this, okay, look at me, people. Do I look like a firefighter? But somehow they were convinced I could be a firefighter. And I had all this equipment on and everything. It's the middle of the night, it's raining, and cranes and everything. And I was like, I can't drive home. And then I had to be on my other set at 6 a.m. again. So it was like, it was crazy. But they made it all work out, man.
So was it strange to jump in and out of character in two different worlds?
It was so much fun.
Really?
Yes, it was great.
You were a doctor at one point.
I was on the Lifetime show. I was a detective. And then on ER, I was the firefighter, the EMS firefighter.
So you went from detective to firefighter.
Yes. I don't know why people think I'm so tough.
Yeah.
I'm really. I mean.
I've known you for a lot of years, and I think you're a very strong woman. You have that strength in you.
Thank you.
Would you characters stick with you?
Absolutely.
Give me an example.
I don't know, I develop a personal relationship with every one of my characters. There's always a piece of us that we bring to a character that we've played, you know, something we identify with, something we connect with in the character that kind of brings the character to life. And I've fallen in love with each one of my characters, whether they were kind of screwed up or, you know, kind of like heroes. There's a piece of the character that you so believe in because you want to create that truth as an actor. And so you have to have compassion for your character.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways you're kind of like, it's like a lawyer with
Right.
a client. You know, whether they're guilty or innocent, you have to represent them well.
Right.
And I think every actor feels the responsibility of really finding the humanity.
Right.
You know, it's a shared humanity.
Right. And my acting teacher always said, you can't judge your character. Like you can't play a character that you're standing outside saying, ugh. Because then you can't be the character. Then you don't have understanding of why that person is the way they are and what they're going through, what they've lived, or any of that.
Like no bad guy thinks they're a bad guy.
Right.
I mean, they always think they are the best people in the world. It's almost this thing of the man beating someone, going, why do you make me hit you? Why do you make me hit you?
There's always a mentality, screwed up as it may be, attached to it. There's a reason, you know, that they justify what they do, and you know that's the trick about being an actor, is being able to tap into that.
We've also, I mean, you've done also indie films. Obviously, Channel, you did an indie film called Dark Mirror.
I did.
Which was
that was a creepy film.
Creepy film. But Variety, which is the ultimate Hollywood magazine, said that you gave a tour de force performance.
Thank you. I was proud of that.
Yeah, no, tour de force. You don't hear tour de force that often from Variety. Now, what called you to this role?
It actually came through as a regular audition. That my manager at the time called me and said, hey, there's the script, you know, it's an indie and da-da-da. And I read the script and I was like, wow, this is really creepy, it's good, and it's about this woman who kind of goes crazy, but in the context of the film, it's haunted. Her house is haunted by this woman's spirit who lived in the house years and years ago. And she's sort of lost her way, and she's kind of like, you know, lost her profession because she's dedicated herself to motherhood and taking care of her husband. And it's all about her decline into mental illness, really. But they presented it as like a horror film.
Well, I think a lot of times mental illness for most people is very scary.
Yeah.
It's frightening when, you know, I've experienced people I've known that were mentally ill, and
definitely.
It's very, especially for an actor. I don't know why for us especially. Actors try to find the truth. And there's a truth, and when you meet someone, my experience was mentally ill, they're more in truth than I was. They totally believe it, and that was the most scary thing.
Yeah.
But was doing indie film, was this part of the strategy, or was the script that called you?
It was totally the script that called me, yeah. I just thought it was a great story, and it was the lead character, and I didn't know the director, I didn't know who was putting this movie out. It didn't even have distribution at the time, but I wanted to do it. And at first, you know, obviously my manager was like, well, you know, this has to be an offer, da-da-da. I was like, I'll go in and read. I'm fine.
So you knew right away?
I wanted to do that film.
Yeah. So now, I'm going to show you a clip right now.
These are the numbers that I need the calculations for, okay? Tomorrow's show. Yeah. So look. Oh, yeah. I'll be right back. Yeah. What's up? I need your help. Oh, we shouldn't up at the office now? Yeah, I tried to do it myself and I got freaked out. All right, well, just tell me where. Just right here and just, ow! Mother, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, but you just gotta do it. My mom has type 1. Been doing daily shots since I'm 9. I used to have to give them to her and it used to scare the crap out of me, but now needles don't faze me. Really? You gonna be okay? What are you gonna do tonight?
What else am I gonna do? Work.
Don't say it like you don't love it.
Something to do, girl.
I wanna have a drink. But, you know, with the shots and everything. Want something?
Yeah, sure. Let me just finish up.
Oh, shoot. What?
I was supposed to meet Kyle for dinner tonight.
What time?
Like 5 minutes ago. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna cancel.
No. You're gonna cancel?
Yes.
You just bailed on him for lunch yesterday. Now you're gonna text him that you're on your way. You gotta go.
Yeah, I guess I should. All right.
Wait. Let me check your teeth. All right. Boobs.
They're still there. Protection. I am not sleeping with him tonight. Girl, please.
What?
Slutty ass.
You took it. What's that make you?
That's great. They were playing Carl Lynch on the BET series Mary Jane.
Yes.
And that role has grown. Every single season it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger, which is a real testament to you as an actress. That writers are they know it's like playing football. You know who's going to catch the ball. And the quarterback, I consider the writer, and they're throwing it to you. They're throwing the passes because they believe in you. Now next season, in season 3, which begins in October, explores Kara's sexuality. And it's going to be much more about her sexuality, who she is. And she's a single mother, correct? And she's a woman that many women can relate to, especially single mothers. How does this whole idea of her sexuality, how does that impact you as you're about to play it? I mean, what are you thinking about that?
Well,
Because it's a mother, single mother, sexuality.
right. And I'm a married mother having sex.
And married over 30 years.
Yeah, long time. So.
Which is, we need to applaud you for that.
Yeah, it's not easy, as we all know.
We were backstage and I said, look at that diamond ring on your hand. I go, don't show it to my wife, because it's gonna cause a lot of problems for me. And she goes, I got kids that are, what, 17?
22, 17, and 12, I've earned it, damn it.
Yeah, she's earned it, so.
She's got to wait a little longer.
Yeah, Susan, we have a 17-year-old, you get that ring.
Right,
okay?
exactly. Susan, you hear that?
Now,
Catch it back, girl.
but you're enthusiastic about the Latino community, supporting each other, and I know that about you.
Yes.
I've known you a long time. And your show is on BET, so how do you get the Latinos over to BET, or are they watching it?
They are watching it. A lot of Latinos watch our show, which is very exciting, actually, and BET's excited about that. And, I think what I like is that these women on this show kind of represent women everywhere. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. When you were talking about Kara being a single mother, I have a lot of girlfriends who are single moms and they're not married and they're just struggling between finding out who they are, the balance of being a woman, wanting, desiring to be loved, and then being the mother, and then being the breadwinner, and having to balance all of that in today's society, and how we women put all this pressure on ourselves, on how we look, and how we, feel, and what we think, and how the people think about us, and how we perform. And it's so much on our plate, and you can't have it all, and everything can't be perfect. And that's just the reality of the situation. So you see these two women trying to get through life as these single women, and you get to see all their little cracks, which is really great, because all women identify with that. Even the married ones. It's like, oh yeah, I feel that way, and sometimes I think that way. And we're so hard on ourselves. And then the separation between men and women in today's society, and how we're not communicating well. And we become sort of insensitive with the texting and the computer. There's no more of that true hand-holding type of, dating or initiating all of that. So that's all we're dealing with, all of those wonderful issues that every woman can understand and can, relate to. And that's what's great about these characters.
Well, one thing great about you is I think what you bring to every character is your wisdom. We talked about that because we were backstage and this clip showed me in Living Color or something. I go, God, it's really dating me. I feel really old. And she goes, no, wisdom. You have great wisdom. And it was such a beautiful thing to say. And I would say to you, you have great wisdom. Now, I want to ask you what advice you would give to young Latinos who want to pursue acting.
Well, my advice for young Latinos who want to pursue acting is, to get ready to grow a thick skin, to not take no for an answer, to believe in yourself, to study, read, educate yourselves, and support yourselves with people around you that believe in you. That's very important because it does take a village in so many areas of our lives, especially in this area where, it goes like this. But life goes like that. But in our industry, as a young actor, a writer, a producer, you have to believe in yourself first. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Don't look for the confidence outside of you. Look for it inside of you. That's
I have two young daughters and they're here tonight. And I always tell them, when they get upset, I go, when someone says something bad about you, I go, does their opinion really matter that much? Does it matter more than your opinion about yourself?
Right.
And you learn those lessons. And that's, as a director, you want to teach those lessons to actors.
Right.
So, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And continue to be a role model in Hollywood.
To be here. Thank you.
Now, we have another actor tonight, a good friend and a great actor, a great role model. And let me show you the clip.
Talking about my husband. I'm trying to find...
Reyes, lo trajeron ayer.
Las computadoras no sirven. ¿Qué quiere que yo le haga? Talk to somebody fucking English.
Let me deal with this. Getting angry is not going to help.
Me sacó la lengua.
¿Qué tal si te arranco la lengua y te la meto en el culo?
You have a photograph for your investigation. There's plenty in the house, plenty to choose from.
That's okay. But if you have keys to a house, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Somebody will be in touch.
Hi, I'm sorry, I don't know your name yet.
Hector, I'm in maintenance.
That's cool. Hector. Hector, I know your son.
I'm psyched!
Yes, Hector's psyched!
Ladies and gentlemen, Enrique Castillo. Now, Enrique, I've known you for years, and I've always admired your work. And what's great about Enrique is I admire his story. I mean, you were Cesar de la Cruz in Weeds. You got a SAG Award nomination, and also for ensemble, and also for actor. All that stuff. You're a gang leader, Montana Segura, in Blood In, Blood Out, which is, I'm sure we all know that film, Blood In, Blood Out. Great film. But before that, and you were at the El Concilio golf tournament with me yesterday in Ventura, in Oxnard here, and he golfed for the first time, which I had to take lessons over a long time to golf that day, so that cost a lot. But before you were, when I told Enrique about the Thought Makers and coming here to Oxnard, he was so happy to. He had such a great time. And doing my research, I found out, you have a special place for Oxnard in your heart. I mean, you were, before you began working in Hollywood, you were working in the fields. I mean, you were a farm worker.
I was.
I used to work in Oxnard.
So, I mean, pretty backbreaking work. You know, farm workers pick 50, California is responsible for 50% of all the fruits and vegetables in the nation. And most of the workers are predominantly Latino, predominantly Mexican.
Right.
And you work the fields. You work the fields up and down.
Before there was a UFW.
Before there's a UFW, that's right. In the beginning. But in that, you got a chance to work with people like Teatro Campesino.
Yes, I did.
And you were in Hollywood films such as Zoot Suit, a great film with Edward James Olmos, who's been on this
I did the stage production, I didn't do the film.
Oh, you did stage? Yes, I was about to mention that. It's actually
because Luis's brother is the lead of the film.
Yeah, Danny. But you did the stage production. That was an amazing time doing that stage production in LA.
It was. A lot of us got our start in Hollywood on that project.
Your wife, Belle?
My wife, Belle. Lupe Ontiveros. El Olmos.
Yes.
Mike Gomez.
Mike Gomez, yeah. Everyone who worked in that play pretty much has had a career today.
Yes.
And you worked in that. But the New York Times criticized that play. They said it was too specific to the Chicano community and lacks versatility.
Yeah.
New York Times. Now, believe me, I've had a little trouble with the New York Times myself. Because when I myself go to Broadway and Latino laws, a New York Times critic actually said, I don't want to see that play at night. I don't trust the audience. I only want to see a matinee of that play. So he went to a matinee and judged the play on a matinee. Luckily, it was sold out. Standing ovation, people were laughing, and he still didn't like the play. And he said, the audience was in stitches. I just didn't get it. So part of the problem is when we're criticized by critics that don't know our work, don't know our story.
We take those criticisms as badges of honor.
Yes. Good. Well, I did. I put the quote up in New York. The audience was in stitches, New York Times. So, and I did. I didn't read the lesson. But here's the great part of that story is that someone from New York 1 came. A reviewer from New York 1 came and gave glowing reviews, called it genius everything. And that review played all day long on New York 1 on the channel. And that's what saved the show. That was the amazing part. I got to meet the woman, Anglo woman, sweet woman. And I said to her, I said, no, I have to ask you, I'm not taking this away from the show, but I'm just so amazed how much you love the show. Why'd you love the show so much? She goes, oh, my husband's Puerto Rican. You know, I get this.
Frame of reference.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. Now here in Zoot Suit, which was a huge hit in LA, and a huge hit all over the country, but the New York Times still criticized it.
Right.
And do you feel that sometimes we need critics that understand us a lot more?
Well, stories are stories, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think, but of course that personal prejudice factors in with people. You said earlier that you thought that the reviews saved the show. I beg to differ. I think the show saved the show.
Yeah.
You know, and the person just happened to be there and had a frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
And so it spoke to that person.
Yeah.
But the work stands on its own. So it's their problem.
Mm-hmm.
We're still around.
That's true.
So whether they hate us, we're still here.
I think it gets back to your point, Lisa, is that you have to be able to take those notes. You have to take those criticisms. You have to take, there's a lot of times when you're an actor and a performer, you're on stage, and when they don't choose you for a role, it's hard not to take it personal. Basically,
90% rejection.
Yeah. And most of the time, my biggest lesson I ever learned, my father was a door-to-door salesman. And he would go door to door, and he'd come back home and he'd tell me, he goes, Rick, every time I knock on the door, I hear no, no, no. But around the 100th door, I hear yes. You got to hear a lot of no's before you hear yes. And that has stuck with me. That has stuck with me. And you've been over 50 roles in film and television. I mean, over 50 roles. You've been in practically everything that You and Lisa both have had so many roles and been that. Is the rejection ever hard? So hard for you that you've considered just quitting?
Well, in terms of quitting, my father, when we were working in the field, used to tell us, cuando te agaches, no te levantes. Because it's twice as hard to get down again.
Yeah.
So in terms of tenacity, that was, built into me from a very young age. So rejection, again, it comes with the territory, and it comes in every facet of society. Rejection. You go for a job, you get rejected. It's how you take it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a thin skin, yeah, we've known a lot of talented people. I'm sure that for one reason or another couldn't, whether it was the prejudice or maybe they did take it personal. But those of us that do survive, I think even Lisa said it, it's that perseverance that you say, God damn it, I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
For me, it's one thing that I tell young actors too, is when I consider the alternative, where my background was that I could still be out there,
yeah,
it's a luxury.
Yeah.
Even with the rejection, it's like when you get to be in an air-conditioned trailer and they get to pay you for, treat you well, craft services and you name it, right? And they do your makeup and all this stuff, and they're gonna go, well, what can I get you, Mr. Castillo? Do you need something else, Enrique? I could be out working in the fields.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me every time I drive to Oxnard, and I'm with my kids, I see guys in the field, and I can tell you, I could not be a farm worker. I would be sampling a few strawberries and quit within an hour. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah.
There are a lot of people in politics that would say, we're taking their jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, in Georgia, they had really draconian laws that stopped a lot of immigrants from working in the fields. And it got so bad that they lost an estimated $100 million to $150 million in crops that rotted on the ground because they could get no one to pick them. They actually went out and got parolees and asked them to pick them, and they would not do it.
Oh, yeah. That happened when I was a kid.
Really?
Striking down in Imperial Valley, and they figured, we're going to teach these guys a lesson, so they brought inmates down there to harvest the crops. They quit. We're not taking this crap.
When a guy in prison goes, no, I don't want it. That's too hard. I'd rather be in prison.
I'll take the bars.
That's right. But you've worked with incredible directors. You've worked with Oliver Stone in Nixon, Tim Burton in Mars Attack, Tony Scott, Deja Vu, Stevie Frears in High Low Country, and Taylor Hackford in Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah.
And
Woody Allen too.
Woody Allen as well. I mean,
who doesn't know any people of color by his movies?
No, you look at New York and how did he be so white? It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, Woody Allen, New York is like Trump's dream. It is the whitest New York I've ever seen. But without playing favorites, what director challenged you the most?
That's a good question. I would say Luis Valdez.
Luis Valdez.
Absolutely. He is one of the most passionate and determined individuals artistically that I've ever met, and creative.
Yeah.
There was no quit with Luis either. It's like you could be working, we work 18, 20-hour days, with $80 a month. Because you love your craft. This is what you want to do. And of course, being farm workers, comes with the territory too.
So we had a totally different perspective. You're on stage performing for farm workers.
Yes.
And that was you.
Yes. With farm workers. And most of the people that worked in the company had been farm workers. Because the theater started on the strike lines. The UFW strike.
and I remember my cousins who were in the UFW, and, two of my cousins are married to Susan Chavez's daughters, so, those guys on the strike were paid $5 a week. They actually have to call them up and say, will you cash a check?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because
or you didn't get paid.
You didn't get paid, yeah. It was a different time, and it was a time of sacrifice, and actors were much more socially conscious.
Well, that was the generation that gave birth to the Chicano movement, that eventually created the opportunities for Chicano youth in the school systems, and out of that, from then on came, inclusion into Hollywood, more and more steps. So we owe a great deal to that struggle.
Yeah, we do. Let's take a look at this clip.
No damn Western Union. No letter, no nothing. Had to hear over coffee and lollipops that you're walking the damn road like a hobo. I'd have met you at the bus or any damn place.
He's your kid, man. Hey, tú cabrón, you think you better than anybody else?
Just get him out of here. What do you want?
I thought you wanted it.
What?
Watch out.
I don't want his pork chop. I want his life.
Comments. That obviously is the most requested line of my entire life. And the second comment is when the Mi Familia clip, and talking about the politics and how we're viewed and how we view ourselves, is that we always get criticized because they say that we as a people don't get along, right? Oh, you Latinos, you never can get along and work together and stuff. Well, Jimmy Smits is Puerto Rican and Dutch.
Yeah.
Eastside is Puerto Rican. Jennifer Lopez is Puerto Rican. Our father was from Mexico. I'm Chicano, so is Lupe. The director, Gregory Nava, is Basque, okay, Spanish, and Chicano. So when they say that we don't get along, that's bullshit.
No, it's true.
Look at the North Koreans and the South Koreans, man. It happens in every culture.
Yeah.
The Irish and the English.
Yeah. No, it does, and I think what's great about this program is that we're, not only do we get to honor you and honor Lisa, is that, Lisa is Puerto Rican, East Coast, Chicano, Mexican American. I think our diversity is our strength. I think that's what makes us strong.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something no one really talks about.
And so rich in stories.
But you're a director, so what lessons have you learned from other directors?
I think patience. One of the things. This film that I worked with recently with Eddie's son, Michael.
Yeah.
I really admired the way he worked because he was very, very patient, very nurturing with the talent. Especially he had a first-time lead.
Yeah.
And he is really patient, but at the same time, he knows exactly what he wants. So the preparation is one of the things that I learned a lot. That there's nothing like preparation and having everything set so that you're comfortable with being able to give people freedom. But yet you can guide them to where you want the story to go.
Yes, it's an odd balance when you're a director, not dictator.
Yeah, you're not dictating.
And what you have to do is...
And then you don't want to tell people what to do. You want to give them room to be creative.
And to come back with choices.
Yes, absolutely.
Say, that's great, can we try it this way? I think the best directors I've ever worked with have always been that way. It's more, they're encouraging. I remember a director back in the day, if I did something, oh, Rick, that's really stupid, let's do it again. And that's really stupid, let's do it again.
And they're all, and they all have a different way of working. Stephen Frears, for example, he just gives you complete freedom. And he even pretends that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. First of all, he's an insomniac too, so, you know. And then Tony Scott, for example, Tony, when he gives you the sides for the day, you know, the shooting schedule, it comes with his storyboard. So that you're seeing how he wants to set up the shot and what he wants to feature and where you feature in that. And so it gives you a huge insight into what's going on in his mind.
It's amazing.
And unfortunately, you know, Tony Scott
took his own life.
Took his own life. And it was tragic loss because he's extremely talented man.
And he took his own life. It was a shock to everyone. I mean, he kind of
still is.
It still is.
Nobody knows
why.
Even Ridley doesn't know.
No, and that's the oddest thing because, you know, this is a man I actually worked with his wife, and you know her as well. Beautiful woman, beautiful family, beautiful. That's, I think for us in Hollywood, is the hardest thing when you see people like Robin Williams or someone like that, when they take their own life, it becomes shocking to you. It's like, you almost look at Robin Williams and go, well, if Robin Williams took his own life, I should have killed myself years ago. I mean,
really feel old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going, why am I still walking around? Because
any of us in this business. You know, the interesting thing about Tony and Ridley is they had competing projects about Pancho Villa. I think Ridley's is Tom Mixon, Pancho Villa.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the title of Tony's, but we sat down and talked about it because he would go to Chihuahua because he was a mountain climber.
Yeah.
And he talked about going to the canyon, you know,
Copper Canyon.
Copper Canyon.
Yeah, great place.
Cañón de Cobre, and he would go climbing there and stuff. And so the way he took his own life didn't surprise.
Yeah, I mean,
climbed up on the
trail. It was on a bridge.
It's on a bridge.
And I think, you know, I've been to Copper Canyon, and it's a beautiful place. It's 3 times bigger than the Grand Canyon, something like that, 3 times bigger. And there I was, and there's Tarahumara Indians. My grandmother was, you know, Tarahumara, she was dark, and tough.
Tarahumaras are the greatest runners in the world.
Greatest runners in the world, and believe me, I knew, just go ahead and let her spank me because I'd never outrun her. So she'd get me quick. But I was there, and I remember seeing a little kid playing with a wooden ball that he had carved himself, and was so happy and just amazing. And I remember coming home, my little boy's asking for a Nintendo and everything else. So I got him the wooden ball I wanted.
Go chase this
thing. There you go, chase that, kick it around. Be happy. You played a lot of military men, and this is Oxnard, and this is a military place. There you are behind us. You booked an award-winning play, Veteranos, Legacy of Valor. It honored military men and their contributions by Latinos in American defense. Let's take a look at this clip.
U.S. Army, World War I. Hi, Mother.
Have fun.
Thank you, Mother.
Don't be too late.
We won't, Mother.
Be careful.
Okay, we will, Mother. You do remember your promise, right? When you write, don't use your Mexican name?
Yes, I remember.
It's just, they don't understand.
Mademoiselle from Argentine, parlez-vous. Mademoiselle from Argentine. Ladies and gentlemen, David Dennis Bartley Cantu.
One of the stories.
Yeah, one of the stories, but that's, I think what's great about that is that we're not showing Latinos how much we've contributed to the military and what we've done. I mean, my father was in World War II, he was in Vietnam, my uncle was in, of course, Korea, most of my family was even in Iraq and all that. My uncle died in World War II in a Japanese concentration camp, captured in enforced March of Bataan and all that. And when we look at ourselves in the media, I remember seeing, Platoon, and I saw one Latino.
With a bandana.
Yeah. All of a sudden it's like, how does Cholo get here? Vietnam. And,
or in Kelly's Heroes, when I think it's Perry Lopez, isn't it? Where they get him to kill the German with a knife.
Yeah, yeah.
But even when it's documented, for example, even at the level of government, like the Department of Defense or the Medal of Honor Society, they get the history wrong. For example, they say the first Latino to earn a medal was David Bartley Cantu, but that's not so. It was in the Civil War. There are 3 of them.
Yeah.
So we helped them correct that. And then Macario Garcia's name was misspelled. And then David Gonzalez from World War II, they had the wrong picture for him. So even while they try, they don't bother to do their due diligence as they expect us to do. And yet the participation of Latinos predates the Civil War, back down to the American Revolution.
Yeah. I think also a lot of times what they're not seeing is first of all, is our contribution, but if we are more Medal of Honor winners than any other ethnic group in America. But
those are misconceptions too.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers, no.
No, but in terms of if you put the
percentage-wise, yes. Well, by far.
Yeah. No, it's
especially now with the 17 that Obama awarded.
Yeah, and also with they call them green card Marines in Iraq and Afghanistan. They weren't even American citizens, were over there getting their green card.
Yeah, and the 17 that Obama awarded were only Army, didn't include Marine Corps, like Guy Gabaldon.
I think what you're doing is great because you're bringing that out. Another theme in your work I've seen is immigration. Immigration has been important in your work. Do you think as a Latino artist that we really need to talk about immigration now more than ever?
Absolutely. We're the only ones that really understand it. Unless you're Asian Pacific American, then you're going to do that experience. Because I think that was criticized recently, right? During these...
What Bush said about the anchor babies, he was saying, I'm talking about Asians.
Exactly, exactly. So we're the ones that are going to tell that story. The film that Lupe and I were in, which was El Norte, which kind of gave rise to that whole immigrant kind of story from Mexico and Latin America. And those movies are still being done, but they're not being done with the kind of accuracy that people of that culture can portray.
Yeah, I think what they look at is, what's funny about Washington and all the politicians, they're jumping on the immigration thing, saying that, we got to build this wall, which is amazing to me because it's like Game of Thrones. They have to build the wall, not to keep out the White Walkers, to keep out the Brown Walkers. So, and that's what they're talking about. But that wall is a fantasy, and building that wall, I would say, who's going to build it? Because,
yeah, exactly.
But
I was going to mention that in the Hollywood version of it, for example, when they tried, there was a film that I had gone up for, and the character was undocumented, who was crossing over, who didn't speak any English really, albeit broken up, right? Well, the actor they hired didn't speak any Spanish. But to them, it didn't matter. And when I also read the script, it was written with a Puerto Rican or Caribbean dialect. And so I thought it was a comedy. And so I went in and I even called my agency and I said, is this a comedy? Am I supposed to, is this like, because these guys are Puerto Rican,
So
They're not
Puerto Ricans are born with citizenship.
Yeah. And so when I went in to talk to the casting director, she was kind of indignant about it and said, oh, well, nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the attitude.
Well, it is the attitude. But I think what's going to happen more is, as long as we have more Latinos behind the scenes, that's going to help change it. Because
which is a point of contention for me.
Yeah.
In terms of who is it that really empowers Hollywood financially?
Latinos.
We were just talking about it.
No, we buy more tickets than any other group as Latinos.
If it wasn't for Latinos, the Fast and Furious wouldn't be the mega hit that it is.
No, they would
spend more at the box office, and who of the 1.23 trillion buying power? It's Latinas.
Yeah.
So all of that.
True, look at these shoes.
all of that revenue, and I see them when they drive in the cars, right? and all of that revenue is of course what's keeping Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt and all these guys in the positions that they are.
Well, and nothing to be proud of, but you do know that the pirates were Latinos, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Pirates
Hello, Johnny
Depp.
I'm just saying. And one of our greatest heroes, Ben Affleck. How does that happen?
Yeah, what she's talking about is the movie Argo. When you see the movie Argo, it's about Ben Affleck goes on over and brings people, crosses the border, and
the hostages. He frees the hostages.
Now, first of all, the CIA found a Mexican American who had been in this country, 4 generations or something, from Colorado.
But he looked Arabic.
Yeah, and they brought him on over there. And I thought about this, I said, who better than to figure out how to cross a border and smuggle some people over than a Mexican?
Somebody who looks like Saddam Hussein, because
exactly.
Saddam Hussein looked like everybody's deal.
I saw Saddam Hussein at the quinceañera one time.
I know. I saw him in the mariachi playing the guitarrón.
My dad looked like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
Like, Daddy,
no, I thought that was rough for us Mexicans because we're looking at half the Iraqis going, that looks like my cousin. So, no. But let's get back to this other role that everyone talks about. Because I know every time I mention your name, something always brings up Blood In, Blood Out. I mean, that is, I don't know if many people see Blood In, Blood Out. There you are. So here it is, Blood In, Blood Out, directed by Taylor Hackford. Now, who also produced La Bamba. So I have to say Taylor Hackford has gone from Blood In, Blood Out.
It was written and directed by Luis Valdez?
Yeah. It was La Bamba written and directed by Luis Valdez. But that was an amazing role. And you were talked about in, I believe, Variety. Actually mentioned you when you talked about the ensemble of you as one of the standouts.
Very kind of you.
Yes. But how did you approach this role? Is there something, how do you approach this role in any of your other roles?
Well, you obviously can't do a lot of research. Unless you're Danny Trejo.
Yeah. Danny Trejo did the research.
Or Jimmy Baca.
Yeah.
The writer.
Oh yeah, from New Mexico. Yeah. I actually spoke, me and Danny Trejo went and spoke at a prison. And I gotta tell you, me and Danny Trejo at a prison is something else.
Danny is an incredible success story in the right way.
A great man who gives back. But the best thing he ever did is he told me, before I'm speaking to the group of prisoners, I was wearing a suit, and I said, I would shank me right now. Danny goes, let me talk.
They would call me cupcakes.
Yeah, right. Cupcake. So Danny goes, let me talk before you talk, Rick. I would like to introduce you. And I said, Danny, go ahead, because right now I'm not feeling comfortable. So he goes, listen up, you know me, I was a Pelican Bay, I was in all these places. Yeah, you know something? Don't respect me for being in prison. Respect this man for never being in prison. And he said, give it up for Rick Najera. And totally different.
Yeah.
It was a different experience. Amazing man. But how did you approach this role?
Well, Taylor was very good about providing us with material, as far as research literature. We got to speak a lot with Jimmy.
Yeah.
And then ironically, my backdoor neighbor had been in San Quentin.
Oh, really? It's all good.
Yes, I was saying, dude, you know, let's go.
I didn't know he'd been to San Quentin.
I said, you know anybody that has been to San Quentin? Yeah, me.
You're like, how do you work Monday?
Yeah. So it was that kind of, and also, obviously, you know, having grown up on the border, a lot of, that's one of the unfortunate things is too many of our community are represented in those institutions.
Yeah.
And so there isn't a lack of material to draw from in terms of speaking with someone who has had the experience.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. From a psychological perspective, my sister has always helped me a lot. She's a psychologist. And also with the veterans things, you know, she worked as a psychologist at the Loma Linda Veterans Hospital. And so when it came time to building the character from a psychological perspective, she provided a lot of insight into it so that the choices that I made were consistent with the character.
And the movie came out after the 1992 LA riots.
Yes, it was released in '94.
Yeah, and it was shot in a prison with real inmates.
San Quentin.
So it wasn't.
There was only 8 of us actors, and everybody else were inmates.
Wow. So.
And it really breaks down to color lines in there. And anybody who's brown, you're over there. Anybody who's a shade of this, you're still over here. Hawaiians, you're still brown, you're over here. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the segregation in prison.
Yeah, the only people that have a real, and color, you know, they don't allow color any particular because of the norteño, sureño thing, the red and blue.
Oh, I know Eddie, Edward James almost was threatened.
Yeah, well, we won't talk about that.
No, we won't talk about that. No, I
respect that situation.
Yeah, he told me that story.
But in San Quentin, the only ones that are allowed to wear red bandanas are Native Americans. And they have a spiritual lodge in a corner, sweat lodge that is separated by cyclone fence, and not even the guards can go in there. So they keep that as sacred land, it's sovereign land, and only Native American can go in.
As Mexicans, we have the Temescal, the sweat lodge. We also have in our culture as well.
That's what Puerto Ricans would mess up. We walk in with right back down and be like, hey, what's up?
And the sweat lodge is also called, I don't have any air conditioning.
Yeah. I've been in the sweat lodges. Did you have any reservations about taking the role or fear at all?
I'll tell you that the only time when I actually had second thoughts about it is when we were going to go start working there. You walk into the sally port, and then all of a sudden they give you this sheet of paper to sign. And what it says is that if you are taken hostage by the inmates, that the government will do nothing to bargain for your release.
What?
Yeah. Basically, you're on your own.
You're on your own.
And so, you know, you sign that with an air of trepidation, but once you do that, you know, nobody forced me to do it, so.
No, I think what my prison experience really wasn't that. I gave a speech, but as prison I did in my lifetime. But you know what saddened me about that whole thing is I looked out and I saw a lot of Latinos in the prison, and these were, you know, good-looking young men, great, you know, intelligent, and I could tell if I talked to them. And I think the biggest problem we've got, it's many times we're incarcerated, not educated. And incarceration versus education, I think that is the biggest problem we have.
Yeah, Sal Castro, who really basically started the walkouts in East LA.
Yeah.
He always used to say, we don't need more cops, Chicano cops, putting more Chicanos in jail. We need more Chicano lawyers to get them out.
Yeah.
And keep them out.
No, it's so true.
He also said that when you educate a man, you educate an individual. But when you educate a woman, you educate the family.
It's true. No, very true. And also it's
very, very wise man.
Yeah, very wise man. Now, mainstream audiences probably know you best as Cesar de la Cruz. And I think I love Weeds. I love what you did in Weeds. And you're nominated for SAG Award, and you're also nominated for SAG Ensemble Award.
Ensemble?
As well. Now, let's see this clip from Weeds.
What the hell is this? Hey guy, where's Andy? He told me to come here.
I put 1,000 miles on my car for nothing.
No, I talked to him. Where's Andy's cell phone?
This is my phone. Came to me from the sky.
Give us the phone.
Fuck you, Peter! It's mine! We programmed it so it can make sandwiches. You can buy it, but it's gonna cost you a lot.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Why did you do that?
It was me. That was close. Close? You killed him. No, the cat. I almost shot the cat. You killed the cat.
You got to get rid of the body.
I almost killed an innocent kitty. The blood. So much blood. I'll take care of you now, Senor Gato. Mr. Cat. Mr. Gato. All right, kitty. You're kitty. I called Andy. This guy answered. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to die.
It's a lease.
Please, don't kill me like that. Don't kill me at all. Let me live.
There is a penalty if I go over the allotted mileage.
I'll call the company. Talk them out of it. I'm good at that.
Help me carry the body. Okay.
Well, I mean, Weeds was kind of a bit of a dramedy. I mean, it was comical, and then it was dramatic, and and I happen to really like that.
It was really quirky.
No, it was quirky.
Everybody always thought we were using this stuff, and it was that was the subject of the title of the.
Were they really worried that you guys or their weed was actually being smoked on that stage?
Everybody was having so much fun.
Yeah. Well, because there's actual prop house that has prop marijuana.
Yeah.
And it's like amazing how.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, like they have actual props that look really convincing.
Yeah, I think one critic, and Hemke, he's a great guy. He's Dominican. The critic said that he compared us. He said that we were the Latino Abbott and Costello. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I like about you is, as a comedian, you approach comedy very truthfully. And I've been on panels with you before, and I tell you, I was on a panel with you. I forget what college it was, and you were brilliant. Laverne College, and we were both at that panel, and you said some incredible stuff to actors. But so, getting back to this questions for both of you, Enrique. Now, both of you have been in business for a long time, which gives you wisdom. And is it changing for the better?
Is it great?
Yeah, we both have a little bit of great ourselves. How do you feel about that?
About?
Is the roles for Latinos, all this, is it changing for the better? Or do you see a little light at the end of the tunnel? I know the numbers are still bad for us.
Yeah, they're worse than the 50s.
Yeah.
I think eventually it will change for the better. I think we've sort of fallen back a bit. I don't know. To me, we have. And you kind of saw this rise in a lot of, black films and more African American, based storylines and stuff. And the Latino, once again, was kind of kicked to the curb. It's almost like we get up, and then we fall back again. And then we get up, and then we fall back again.
Like Sisyphus.
Yeah. Well, Time Magazine, I remember recently came out with, it was a decade of Latino. I think it was about 10 years ago. And then you go, well, the decade turned into a weekend. And that's kind of been the problem. I mean...
Well, we do take 2 steps forward, one step back. In terms of the numbers of roles, certainly, we are probably worse off in the 50s. It's been documented.
Yeah.
But however, in the quality of the roles, some of that has changed. I'll give you an example. I worked with Jimmy Smith on his series Outlaw. Now that his character had been a Supreme Court judge. You never would have seen that. Maybe a low-level judge's assistant or something. But now, he was the leader, he was the Supreme Court
Well,
judge.
that's also changed. I mean, I agree with this. We had Isai Morales there. And
He's the president of the United States.
Isai Morales is the president of the United States.
And
I played the first lady.
First lady.
On the event.
Yeah, so I think that's what changed.
Yeah.
And where you were mentioning Platoon and the one Mexican who's, maybe on the side over there, in Fury, World War II with Brad Pitt, you got Michael Peña, and there's part of the crew. So in that respect, yeah, it's improving
The quality.
the quality, but it's not been a simple road. It's been a lot of people protesting or calling out the studios and saying, hey, you can't cast an Italian as Frida Kahlo.
Yeah, that was your wife, Bel Hernandez, is Latin Eve, which is a big publication for Latinos. That's how it started.
Yeah.
She actually protested.
The godmother of Latino cinema.
The godmother. Belle's here tonight.
She's right there. Oops.
Yeah, she's here tonight. But do we have? I mean, now we're looking at the presidential election. We're hearing, people saying some horrible things about immigration.
And Latinos running for president.
And yeah, Latinos running for president. And sometimes I worry about their politics a little bit. Like, I mean, and that's part of worries me. Sometimes you can be Latino, but are you really for Latinos? I feel we need our own politicians that aren't for the Democrat Party, aren't for the Republican Party, or for the Latino Party, are truly for us. Because I think a lot of them get moved by policy.
One way or the other.
Yeah, one way or the other. And that's some of the problems now. Because now immigration is Trump is getting the numbers purely based on immigration. He says, let's make America great again. I really think he's saying, let's make America white again.
Yeah, and then he makes statements like he did to Jorge Ramos, go back to Univision.
Yeah, which he makes say go back to Mexico.
Exactly.
But as people like us who work in Hollywood, we get more of a responsibility to change those things. It's tough for actors, I know for you guys.
Well, listen, the American dream, I mean, from a political standpoint, the greatest export that the United States has ever had is the American dream. And that has been conveyed through film and television.
Yeah.
For many, many years, it was strictly film. And so the American dream, and who participated in that, we rarely did it as, again, the leads. It's always been the white heterosexual male that has been the hero based on the hero's journey, which is Joseph Campbell's work, who worked in great part with George Lucas. So that particular image is what we all, particularly Latinos, as we were saying, spend so much at the box office to maintain that image that is transmitted globally. This is the guy.
Yeah, they call it, for writers, they call it, what's your point of entry? Story. What's our point of entry? Who are we following in the story? And normally, predominantly, it is white males.
Exactly.
I want to add as well that, ignorance and idiotic thinking is going to be around forever. So it doesn't matter what Trump says, and I'm like, get a new wig. I can't. My thing is, Latinos, and I think we were talking about this, Latinos, we need to create more of a sense of pride in our own history, in our heroes. Those people that are at the top have the opportunity to create, education about our heroes. And, to create a sense of pride and importance in what we've contributed to this country. And, the importance that we have, like Anissa was saying, in the numbers, in the buying power. And if they're not choosing to tell those stories and they're just worried about just kind of acclimating into whatever.
Yeah, Latinos have the buying power of Canada.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot, and we were talking backstage earlier about this also, is that we go to a lot of events in Hollywood with our peers, and we see in these events the posters of, this much marketing power and Latinos spend more at the box office, and you look around the room and you see producers and writers and actors all struggling for work. And they're trying to make stories that reflect the truthfulness of our community, but they don't have the revenue to do it with at the level that a Spielberg would have. He can make a low-budget movie and it'll be $30 to $40 million.
Yeah.
But an A-list Latino film is going to be 10, 11. Yeah. But when you release the film, there's no forgiveness there. Yeah. There's so you have bad sound, you have bad lighting, because you just don't have the resources for them.
Well, it's funny. So it's always been a problem for us because when a Latino does a crime, they blame all the Latinos. When an Anglo does a crime, he's a lone gunman. He's somehow, they don't say the Anglo did it, it's like he's a lone crazy gunman. I don't know what happened to him because Anglos would never do that.
Well, and also we were talking about it earlier, is how it's defined is that if you have two cultures or a culture and the individuals are vying against each other, and then we do it, it's a racial thing. Those guys can't get along. It's their race. But when it's them, it's politics.
Yeah.
So it's all in the terminology and how we're portrayed, and then we start parroting that. Yeah, as Latinos, we don't get along, man. We can't get together. We can't work together. Here we are.
No, that's what this whole program's about. And it's also, I think we need to change the words. And when they talk about 11 million undocumented immigrants, I say 11 million future Americans. 11 million more taxpayers, 11 million because they did a study, they found out that we need about 5 working people to pay for our Social Security. And the numbers alone, we need them to be Latinos.
Yeah.
So when you start cutting back on Latinos, there's a good chance when you get Social Security, you'll be having cat food. Because we need us here. That's what they're not seeing. And we're obviously buying the tickets. Let me get back to this right now. Here's a fun fact for everyone. I asked you sing.
Oh, yeah.
And Enrique sings too. You're part of a musical group, Flor del Pueblo. And there you are right there. Look at you. Yeah. And there you are. And your song is in the Smithsonian's Folklore.
Yeah, the Smithsonian put together a compilation of songs. The CD is called, I think it's Raíces del Esclavo, song from the Chicano movement.
Mm-hmm.
And so they selected one song from a lot of different groups. And our signature song used to be Soy del Pueblo.
How's that go?
It's got an Afro-Cuban rhythm. It was written by Carlos Puebla, Cubano. And that's a kind of flavor that we used to do our music. Mm-hmm. We had an incredible conguero. They used to play with a lot of salsa groups in New York. So we eventually became a compadre too.
Well, the great thing about this program is we had, Quetzal, who's a Grammy Award-winning band that played here, and from here. And so
I was teaching Quetzal some requinto.
Really?
Because he always used to play rock.
Yeah. No, they're a great band. I really like them. Here's our final thoughts. If you talk to the young Enrique, what advice would you give him? And I'll ask Lisa the same question.
Don't take it personal.
Don't take it personal? It's a good advice.
Personal.
Don't take it personal. Lisa, what would you tell Lisa Vidal?
I would tell her, you are amazing, talented, incredible, smart. You have everything it takes. You just believe in yourself and you go for it.
That's beautiful.
That's what I would tell her.
I'd tell the young Najera, buy Apple. Buy as much Apple stock as you can. That's why I'm going back in time.
I went to school with some of those guys because they were at Berkeley.
Really?
Oh, really? Wow.
Well, see, that's what people aren't talking about. No one knows that you went to Berkeley. No one knows these things, and that's what this program's about. Bringing out Latinos that we can celebrate with an audience. Now, thank you both for coming. Thank you both.
now comes my favorite part. We have some time where we actually take a few questions from the audience because this is your chance to ask any question you'd like. Oh, there you are. Yes.
How important is religion in your path to your success? Your faith as a Latino, whether it be Christianity or any other kind of religion?
Are you asking both of us?
Yeah.
How important is religion in your faith or your relationship?
There are two things that I never discuss: politics and religion. Those are extremely personal to me and nobody's business. Even my wife doesn't know who I vote for and what party I belong to.
Oh, in terms of believing in yourself, sorry.
I believe, I rest a lot on faith. I do. Because that's part of believing in myself, just for me, personally.
For me too, I think I am learning that faith really does exist. And certainly, I did a Rick Najera golf tournament that Enrique came to. And I was kind of feeling bad because I put a lot of work in that tournament. That's kind of tough. And then there's a raffle, and I bought some tickets and I forgot about it. And I won a free trip to Puerto Vallarta. And I know it sounds, as crazy as it sounds, I went, thank you, God. Thank you, God. So I think in the business and the art, I think we as artists look at the world and see the miracle it is. And I always figured someone higher than me had to create it. It's not an accident. I don't think there's accidents.
Yeah, there are certain moments when sometimes your politics or your faith can factor into a decision that isn't necessarily consistent with the role or the project, and you will deny yourself an opportunity because of it, or you will take this over that, and you begin to make those kinds of either socio-political or emotional decisions. Whereas as an artist, you don't have that. I cannot refuse to play an atheist or a Jimmy Jones type character and bring whatever faith or politics into that. I will both deny myself an opportunity and a chance for that character to be reflected. So that's why I don't factor those things.
That goes back to what I was talking about, judging your character. You can't judge your character. I can be me, and I can believe what I want to believe, but when it comes to being an actor and looking at a character that I'm going to play, I'm not talking about me. So my faith can't come into that. I'm telling somebody else's story. It's someone else's situation.
For me, it's as long as it's the truth. Whatever character I play, it's got to be the truth. And I think that is God's truthful. So as long as it's the truth, I can play it. Next question. Yes?
Yes. First I want to talk to Enrique real quick and just tell you thank you. I don't know if you remember, many years ago when you did the last brown hat, you were in Sacramento. And I was young, still a little kid from the valley. You know, I didn't even know you could go to school for theater, right? And I invited you and the cast to my aunt's restaurant. And the next morning, you guys just showed up, and that meant a lot. Like there was this guy that was in movies and theater, and Mexicano, and from the fields, you knew the valley. Like that, you just took the time to reach out to me, you know, and that meant a lot to me. So I want to thank you for that person, number one. You know, it's I kept acting from that. It inspired me to keep going.
Did you audition for me?
Yeah, just yesterday.
Yes, you did. I was having some weird deja vu. I'm like, here's a guy who looks exactly like me that auditioned for me yesterday.
Yeah, you know, that goes along with, and I'm sure we've all experienced it. What we do here is a choice, okay? You could do anything else you want in the world. I chose to do this. And so my choice is to enjoy it as much as I can, whenever I can. because the alternative is to make myself miserable. Whether it's my clothes, my costume doesn't fit, they called me too early, they called me too late, my dressing room isn't air conditioned, or I can find any number of reasons to be unhappy and miserable on a set. But I choose to enjoy it no matter what it is, because nobody forced me to do it. I made that decision, and I'm not about to make somebody else responsible for my displeasure about it. So you have a choice. Be happy with it.
Yeah, definitely. But I do have a question. A lot of times when we go to these panels and we'll ask, because like, you know, you were talking about, even when you talked to me back then, and then you mentioned also turning down those stereotypical roles. But I know for a fact, more often than not, I won't get called into a casting office if it's not, you know, quote unquote Latino type, you know, this kind of blah blah, you know, gang member or whatever. So it's hard to turn it down because I also almost never get called. I won't have an audition like for a year if I say no to them, right? So then you hear, well, you know, make your own content, do your own thing. But sometimes I've got $30 in the bank, so you're like, how am I going to make my own content? So my question to you is, do you see those like Michael Pena and Lopez and even the Golden Boy Productions, like $1 billion company, do you see them, the ones with the means, reaching out to make their own content, like Kevin Hart, Chris Rock, when we talk about the African American movies that are taking over, you know, they are making their own content, bringing in their own people and bringing in young people. Because I don't see it, and maybe I'm just not behind the scenes to see it, but are they reaching out and producing and doing maybe what not Spielberg can do, but they still, like Golden Boy, $1 billion. So they still can make some decent movies if they choose to. Is that
You're talking about Golden Boy Oscar?
So
okay.
yeah, I know he's not necessarily an actor, but let's say the funds are there, and then you talk about uniting as Latinos together, you know what I'm saying? So is it happening?
Well, you make two distinctions. First of all, Oscar, but he's doing incredible things in the world of sports, including an attorney that we've worked with. You know, now he's the president of Showtime Sports.
Right.
So opportunity begets opportunity. So the way I see other actors is whether it's their success is my success, no matter what they're doing. As an example, Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo has played, you know, to the nth degree, the negative role models. But look what he's doing now. And look what he's done with his life.
Danny Trejo even talks about that, you know, his start for success was he was actually a drug counselor. And one of his clients said, hey, I'm working here, I'm having trouble staying off of drugs, will you come with me at my job? And the job happened to be Runaway Train. He was an actor in Runaway Train. So Danny Trejo came to Runaway Train to help a guy stay off of drugs. And in that, they saw him and said, hey, weren't you in San Quentin? Yeah. Could you teach boxing to this guy?
Eric
Roberts.
Yeah.
And Eric Roberts actually did a show of mine, and the reason I met him is he had a Latino kid that basically worked with him for years. And he said, Rick, he's like a son to me. Will you find him an acting job? So Eric Roberts, so you see these connections all around, and it does give you hope, because I know Pitbull actually is moving a little bit more into entertainment and in terms of away from music, and he's still kind of his music, but he's trying to do films, he's trying to do TV. It is a process.
What I would, in that respect, I mean, when you did mention particularly actors, I mean, you name me how many that you can single out that would rival the kind of revenue that or income that a Tom Cruise or a Brad Pitt or a Johnny Depp can have. Who do we have? Antonio Banderas is maybe one, but then, you know,
I wouldn't even say right now.
Even. He can't, on his own, cannot greenlight a film like a Tom Cruise can. And so, when you talk about are they contributing, to me, I can't look at them that way. I have to say they're doing what they can by being an example for someone like you who's starting out and say, okay, there's a Latino that's doing it. You know, hopefully by the time you get there are many more like you, and then you will be able to, as an artist, give back and produce films and stuff. Because at this point, there is really no one that can do that.
I also think, first of all, it's a choice that you make. I made the choice because it's just something I wanted to be more focused on. Because I had played, you know, plenty of the more negative stereotypes when I was younger. And I started seeing myself sort of being put in this kind of bubble of a stereotype, you know, because I did a film called I Like It Like That. And I kind of played like the girl around the way, you know, bimbo-y kind of, you know, boobs and all that business. And it was a pretty big film for back in the day, and we went to Sundance and all of that. And suddenly, I started seeing the powers that be of sending me out, trying to pigeonhole me into that. Suddenly, that's what I had to play. I didn't want that to happen. So, yes, I did make the choice to start pulling away from that. But that doesn't mean that you have to say no to those roles. That's not what I'm saying. For me, the character has to be important. There has to be a story, there has to be a reason. I was no longer willing to be the fly on the wall with the boobs hanging out just because was my point. You know what I mean? And I do think that, I think times are changing within the Latino culture where there was a real ignorance in the old school days about keeping everybody separate. Oh, yeah, Dominican or Mexican or whatever. I don't see so much of that mentality anymore. There's more of a coming together, finally, I think, where let's create together. Like Enrique was saying, you know, Cubans, Puerto Ricans in the film is, you know, working with a Dominican, whatever. There's more of a mindset of let's stop working against each other, let's start working together.
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, I'll tell you this, I was you years ago, and I had $30 in my bank, and I started writing. It didn't cost me $30 to write. And I wrote a play, it was Latins Anonymous back in the day. And we had $1,200 we all put together, all four of us. We did the play at Los Angeles Theater.
Here I am with Ken Sugar after our Latino Thought Makers series, and my question is, any more actors or singers that are going to be coming here in the next couple months or list?
Just like we had the last couple of years, we'll have one of these events every month. So we'll be putting out the schedule probably in the next couple of weeks. Even I don't know who yet, because Rick is still making the deals.
I have ideas. I have some people in mind. We'll talk later.
Let me know, and we'll talk to the big guy over here and see what he can do.
Right.
But yeah, we're working on this on the whole season right now. So probably 2 to 3 more weeks, we'll have a list for the whole year.
Right. Thank you, thanks Ken, for all this. Even for us SLC students, I know bit by bit we'll get more and more people in here, and there's a lot of Latinos in Oxnard, so we have to get people in here. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Perfect.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I'm here at Oxnard College Performing Arts Center here at the Latino Thought Makers. I'm here with Lisa Vidal, who just gave her whole, let's say, life story and inspired me, myself. And you talked a lot about, one of the questions was asked, you said that an advice you would give yourself was to believe in yourself, to don't take no for an answer. Like, just keep on going. Why? Was that because you've had a lot of no's in your life, or like rejections, or why did you say that? Like,
yes, I said that because we're in a difficult industry, and sometimes people say things that maybe make you doubt yourself and doubt your talent and your capability. And you have to be your biggest fan in the sense of really believing your dreams and your goals and going for it and not letting no discourage you to the point where you give up. And you really have to own that and believe that. And that confidence is kind of what carries you through, you know, the tough times and when you don't get the job.
Another question is, okay, have you played a role that you said, wow, I can't believe I just got this role? You played so many actors. You said, you started from, let's say, the bottom up, how the song goes, but have you played a role that you said, whoa, I'm playing this role I never thought I would get? Like, what role is it and when was it?
I kind of feel that way about every role I play.
I mean, you said you played a firefighter, what?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I really and truly do appreciate every single time I get a role and I get to be something different. To me, that's really special and I feel very lucky to be doing that. And I get to play a doctor or a lawyer or, you know, the First Lady of the United States or a producer of a show. And every time I get a role, I kind of feel like, wow, I can't believe I got this. This is great.
So for Latina women, girls, just keep on going and
absolutely. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe your importance in the world and your place in the world and in anything you do, I believe. That's with anything you do.
Soñar grande, básicamente.
That's right. Soñar grande y por qué no. Y si ellos, por qué no mí. Right?
Sí. Bueno, pues muchas gracias. Gracias por venir y hope to see you. Muchas gracias. Gracias.
De nada.
So, Diana, you have another question for me.
About your movie, the role in Homebound?
Homebound, yes. Well, if you those people that have seen the film, another thing that they'll notice that is very consistent with one of my more passionate ventures is the military and Latinos in the military. When I spoke with Fanny, she was very willing to let me make a choice about something, and that was to make the character a Vietnam veteran. And so one of the producer's uncles had been in the army in Vietnam, and he had a vest, jeans vest with a lot of memorabilia from the military, and so we used that. We never said that he was a veteran. We never said, you know, what he did in the war, whatever. But the Latino veteran was represented by that.
Do you have any family members that are in war or in military soldiers or any?
Oh yeah, I don't know that any Latino families aren't. You know, don't have anything. And one of the main reasons that I do projects like that is because I was around in college during the Vietnam era. My brother was 2 years older than I was, and he enlisted in the military. He served during the Vietnam era, but in the Air Force, and he was stationed here in California. So we were grateful about that. And so because he was in the military, even though I no longer had a student deferment and my lottery number was 41, I should have been gone. But I wasn't because he was in the military. And so a lot of the work that I do it because of my appreciation for what my brother and a lot of other guys did that I didn't have to do. And so to pay tribute to them,
when you play those roles,
I like to represent them. And also when I write stuff, I also make sure I write that into whatever I'm writing.
Okay, gracias, don Ernesto. Muchas gracias.
Okay.
Hey, we just finished doing the Latino Thought Makers series, hearing Lisa and Enrique, their life stories, their acting careers, everything they've done up to this point, and the inspiring stories they've said. And me personally, inspiring, and just showing us that not to give up, si se puede. And stay tuned for any more Latino Thought series makers, and let's see how this goes.